I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. And approval of the agenda. Storm, can we do 5F2 in the clear?
I think so.
We can? Okay. All right. Then, council, I want to move 5F6 to follow 6A, to put it at the agenda, at the end of the agenda. So I'm going to move that we move 5F6 to follow 6A. Motion to approve or amend, further amending. We have a motion to approve from Chris. We have a second from Jesse. Discussion. All those in favor of the motion to approve, opposed, 7-0. Well, thank you. Okay, Kevin?
We have one person signed up, Zach Morse.
Evening, Council. I signed up to speak about two items, so I'll try and split my time quickly. The first is for item 5G3, which is the first reading of the dark sky lighting ordinance. I just want to speak in favor of this. I know I'm on that committee, so I'm speaking to as a private citizen. And I wanted to mention that, as many of you know, my main job when I'm not helping out with town is working for NASA. And I grant a lot of inspiration for doing that from living here, growing up, and under dark skies. So being able to see the night sky was a real inspiration for me. I think that this ordinance that we're working on and passing will hopefully preserve that for future generations and also be inspired. Thanks to Ordinance Review and to the Dark Sky Committee for the hard work on that. And then switching gears, item 6A, which is talking about State Bill 659. Thanks to Christian for pointing this out to me after the last town council meeting. I just want to say that Senate Bill 659 is a great example of bad legislation. It is a sweeping bill that imposes a one-size-must-fit-all rule for municipalities throughout the state. It is something we should be aware of and work to figure out how it fits with our current zoning, comprehensive plan, land use ideas. It is essentially it would allow private landowners to build at will an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit, on a residential property, which could potentially expand density in ways that we were not planning for in the long comprehensive plan process that we just went through. It also imposes some interesting rules that, as part of your discussion, I hope that you catch, including the construction of new dwelling structures, which would be on residential lots, not being required to have off-street parking. So there's a potential to balloon on-street parking through an unexpected density increase. And also an interesting play with the state rules, which, to my knowledge, currently require every structure on a lot to have their own water meter. This bill upends that and says that you do not need a separate water meter for EDU. I know that was a big topic of discussion when I was on council, so something just to figure out. But yeah, I think we are on top of this. Fortunately, I think allowances for historic preservation and things like our Appendix A, and also our existing setbacks and lot coverage rules should still be in place. So we'll keep an eye on this and discuss this more planning. So thank you for talking about it today.
Thank you. Is that it, Kev? Is that it? Yeah. Okay. Mayor's announcement. The only thing I have is I want to, and I don't know if she's listening or not or watching, but I do want to extend a gracious thank you to Melissa Breeden for her many years of service to this town. And I know that each of you around this table and those of you sitting here wish her very well. Kevin?
I have nothing.
Okay, thank you. Superintendent?
Council, working. A number of updates for you this evening. First, the Byron Bridge closure, the shuttle has been activated, and there will be several more weeks of this until the new steps are installed. The Appalachian Chamber Music Festival concert at Store College, technically at the Curtis Greenville Baptist Church last Friday, was a big success, despite somewhat warm temperature inside the building and the not too compliant weather outside. So I want to thank everyone for attending, came from the community. I saw people literally streaming into the building for the concert. Very excited to see. Hope everyone enjoyed themselves there. Grassland Rehabilitation, the third and final herbicide application at Bolivar Heights and Nash Farm is scheduled for August 17th. Weather dependent, of course. If it rains, they'll have to push it out a day. But we are looking at that third and final application this year. Park will post closure signs during and after the application. Want to let you know that the National Park Service is starting a new project at Anthony Hall to repair all the building's windows and doors. Our National Park Service contractor should be on site starting next month in September, and they will be on site until January of 2020, assuming everything goes to plan. I do want to just be clear that the interior building will still be operational, so if there are any public permit requests for the classroom space during that time, we're able to do that. I'd also like to let you know that the park and Harpers Ferry Center are working together on 6 new waysides for Lower Town. 2 will include tactile components for visitors with visual impairments. The wayside topics include the armory, how the town evolved after the Civil War, and the impact of flooding on the town. Design work is ongoing, installation is not yet scheduled, but that will be something that we'll certainly celebrate when we get to that point. I also want to let everyone know that this fall, the National Park Service will begin a pavement preservation project throughout the park, and with the approval from the town and the county, parts of the community. Contractors will be making minor roadway repairs and applying a slurry sealant to the existing pavement to extend its life cycle. This federal transportation project will help improve NPS roads and parking lots, as well as some public roads that provide visitor access to the park, including Shenandoah Street, Public Way, and Whitman Avenue. Those are my updates.
Tanya, what, Anthony Hall, which one is that?
Now they're
Anthony
training.
Hall is the historic college name for the building, so I'm using that.
Can I
Thank
ask,
you.
I live near there, and I haven't heard it just too recently, but alarm keeps going off.
It could be the elevator, actually, which is fixed again.
I just let you know. I always get worried when I hear it. I'm wondering if somebody.
Appreciate that. I'll mention it to our physical security law enforcement.
Storm?
So 2-parter. So the steps at the point, just part 1, is it still true that there no plan at this point to reopen them?
So we've had Park Service structural engineer look at them, and we are getting ready to have another meeting with them to figure out what we can do or not.
Where's that? Sorry, what were we talking?
At the point, the steps that go down
Yeah,
to
gotcha.
the river.
Oh,
well, if there is no plan, the question was, would they be demolished?
Right, that's what we have to determine. There is no, the steps were built when President Clinton and Vice President Gore came to the park, back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
98.
I call
Sometime in
them
the 90s.
steps.
Right.
And it was very purpose built for that day, literally, and those steps have been there ever since. So we knew that we probably should take a look at them, and we did. And the structural engineer immediately said, "Oh, we need to close this."
Shut
So
it down.
until we determine if they're really needed, we know they're convenient. But the question is, they're not historic, right? And well, technically they haven't been evaluated, but thinking of the way we think about history on Harpers Ferry, I would doubt that. They are partly being in this other question is, does the park want to invest in a new set of stuff? Not yet. We have not yet determined that yet.
Thank you.
Anything else for the superintendent? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody on the council have a community report? Chris?
Well, I just wanted to add Pat and I.
I'm sorry.
Is that okay? Oh, this Chris? Oh, go ahead. When you said that, you were looking my way.
All right, let's go alphabetically. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I wanted to thank the Park Service for the wonderful concert Friday night. Indeed, it was hot, but everyone there, I think, really enjoyed the music. And a reminder that ACMF is continuing for another week yet, I think through the 16th, including a concert for paid tickets on Saturday the 15th at Camp Hill Methodist Church. I think that's the only major concert in town, although there may be some free pop-up concerts as well. So you can get all of the information at appalachianchamber.org.
Okay, thank you. Christian?
Yeah, Pat and I last week got together and started working on the project, the promote community event and job hiring fair for the town. We've selected a date of September 24th. It'll be in the afternoon and early evening. And at this point, the working name is Meet the Town, Harpers Ferry, and Harpers Ferry. Harpers, yeah, we're still working on it. Harpers Ferry, something with jobs, and then community open house. So,
Got it. Harpers Ferry, something jobs.
yeah, we're working on it.
That's how the note should read.
Thank you, Christian. Anybody else?
It's, by the way, it's not easy to do because we have two purposes, community and a job fair. So it was difficult to put that in one.
Thanks, Christian. All right, and item number 4A, approval minutes, April 13, 2026, regular meeting.
I move to approve April 13th as presented.
There's a second on the motion to approve. Second, David, discussion. All those in favor of the motion to approve, opposed, 7-0. June 8th, 2026.
Kevin, did you get my note about an error on that?
I did.
Do we know who made that motion?
I don't know right now.
Okay.
I have to go back and listen again.
Yeah. I was listed as making the motion to go into executive session, although I was not at the meeting. So I did send my thoughts with you all, but not that closely. So.
All right, so what do you want to do with the motion?
Which item is?
This is,
I mean,
sorry.
which
That was June 8th.
June 8th.
and which?
And it was the very final one in the minutes, executive session.
Let's see if I might have it.
Uh-huh.
I did not record that.
You sure you weren't thinking about it when you were out?
We'll hold
I
off.
don't know
on
whether
approving
anyone
it.
remembers that
I don't know. I don't remember.
motion.
Let's see here. Well, I don't think it should hold us back from approving these minutes. There was a second and it was approved unanimously. So
We could, why don't we I can make a motion to approve with the condition that Kevin will correct the person who made the motion in the minutes.
there's a second on that motion, second from Chris, discussion. All those in favor, opposed, 7-0. July 13, 2026.
I sent out a couple of bugs that David helped me find, and also we had one other correction that Jesse had sent since that time. So those have been made in those minutes.
Right.
And so if you all are okay with those, I would move to accept July 13th with the, as corrected.
Is there a second on that? Second, Jesse, discussion? All those in favor, opposed, 7-0. February 27, 2026.
I also sent out a correction on that, and I would move to approve those February 27th as corrected.
Is there a second on that? We have a second from Jesse. Discussion? All those in favor, opposed, 7-0. July 17, 2026.
The 8th of July is the next one.
I do not
I
have
don't think we got them.
July 8, Kevin. That's still out.
Move to approve July 17th as presented.
Is there a second to the motion to approve? Second from David. Discussion on the motion to approve. All those in favor of the motion to approve, opposed, motion carries 7-0. The final one would be July 29, 2026.
Move to approve as presented.
Is there a second on the motion to approve? Second, Jesse, discussion. All those in favor of the motion to approve, opposed, motion carries 7-0. Town reports, Landmarks Commission.
The Landmarks Commission met in a special meeting on July the 22nd, 2026. Draft of the meeting minutes will be approved in the August regular meeting of the Landmarks Commission. There will be a special meeting scheduled to review additional clarifications and qualifications to Appendix A. And that was, motion for that was unanimously approved. The chairman, correction, the president will prepare a request for funding for current initiatives and for additional clarifications as requested by the financial officer. And motion for that was unanimously approved. The Landmarks Commission has responded to the state of West Virginia's request for additional time for document delivery. The commission agrees to continue work on a list of vacant and blighted properties, including cleanup requests and documentation and additional concerns. Motion for that was unanimously approved. There was a discussion held on the chimney cap at the renovation of 167 High Street. We saw that there was no action called for by the Landmarks Commission, according to statute. The 316 Fillmore application, Landmarks accepted the application subject to the chairman's review, the president's review, of materials with the OCO. All in favor of this was unanimous. And now the last piece of it. Now, in the meantime, I have to turn my attention to the subject of snakes, particularly poisonous snakes and rodents at the hilltop. Right. This month, actually, about 10 days ago, one of our HLC officers apprehended an adolescent copperhead leaving the TD. And we've documented 2 other sightings of other species of snake from other entities leaving that area. We investigated this. And first of all, let me say that the HLC extends its heartfelt appreciation to the Hilltop Company for curating the stone of the original hotel. That collection, which is 130 pallets of stone and 5 yards of loose stone, together covered a vacant lot on Hilltop. We got a picture, that shows two stacks of pallets directly with two in the background. But I want to keep in mind is when I'm saying the rest of this, that this is multiplied times 65. There's 65 two pallet stacks out there. And I have other photographs on me of bluestone pushed up against these. As I said, it's awfully good at Hilltop to save that stone up there, and I'm sure that was a great expense. However, an unintended consequence of that being there for 5 years is that they've created an ideal habitat for the mass breeding of snakes and rodents. And I think we're seeing that now. Now, the HLC sent out an emergency letter to the West Virginia Development Authority, which police requesting professional assessment. But I want to stress here that after doing some reading into this, I learned that August is the snake mating season. I didn't know that, but apparently, and they like to travel by foot. That's incorrect. By slither. But they don't take cars or bicycles. And they, although they like a 6-meter radius of where they sleep, when looking for mates, they will fill in a square mile area. So that's in a town of 0.6 of a square mile. That means that anywhere in this town, they can wiggle off to. And they also don't respect chain link fences. They don't know much about that. So, I'm sorry, this isn't in my direct purview. As you know, a member of HLC, who just felt compelled as a public safety matter, I'd like to request not a council action, but mayor, if you see fit, to ask Larry or someone appropriate to put up a sign down on a right of way in Washington Street with some level of warning, because tourists are going up there, and some snakes like to bask in the warmth of the sun, and we don't want to have some tourist kid see the cute little snake and get bit. So here we go. That's my report. Thanks a lot, and I hope we can take some appropriate action. I don't know how fast the state's going to respond. That's the deal.
Okay.
We haven't got the response back. We put out the letter 6 days ago. 6 days ago, we sent out a letter and an email, and we haven't heard back.
The snakes?
Pardon me?
I'm sorry.
6 days ago,
Right, never mind.
Tuesday.
Right.
Yeah, Tuesday last, we put out the letter and an email. So, you know, haven't heard anything back. It's not the town's responsibility. I get that. However, yeah, this is the same season as Jaws.
Who's
And,
the-
they had a bad time when they didn't put out a warning. Sir,
They have that big of a, anyway,
you know, they not quite as
not quite as big, okay. The, who do you send it to? Who do you send the letter to exactly? Who's the person,
the West Virginia,
you know?
I've got the name of the woman over there. If you like me to fish it out, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, curious who that is.
Sure.
Thanks.
Over my
I
back.
You can give it to me afterwards too. It's fine. I don't need it now. I mean, at some point.
See if I can walk backwards.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Any other questions for George? Thank you.
Okay,
I do want to say they're in other places as well. So it's not just up at that
that's
site.
true.
They go other places.
They're around, they're behind the Huttons lot. They've got them back there. And somebody up in Fillmore has cited snakes 5 times the last month. In and around their lot.
I haven't seen many of this year.
So this is an active period for snakes. And I'd say everybody here, keep an eye out this year. Like to wear sandals, you know. They're afoot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Planning Commission, Zach.
Evening. Your microphone has moved away, so I don't know.
I'm trying, I'm back. Wait a minute, there we go, thank you.
Less interesting report. The planning commission met last month and we dedicated the meeting to an after action report on the comprehensive plan process. basically to review, what went well, what didn't, make plans and a report that will hopefully help whoever is on planning commission in 10 years to do the next one. It was a really good discussion. It was good to dedicate some time to it. I should say in the comprehensive plan, there is a note, an action item about when we have the new website operational, establishing some sort of wildlife interaction reporting system. I think it was yesterday, that was your idea. So if there are wildlife issues, maybe that's a good way to collect data on it. Out of the discussions on the comprehensive plan, we had a couple thoughts that we're going to try and push forward. Just I don't have my full notes, but one of which was to suggest or to create a template that the annual reports from commissions in town could follow. So not the monthly reports that we give here, but the ordinances say that annually every commission is meant to give you a full report of activities, to at least have them reflect the responsible action in the comprehensive plan that those commissions are related to. So we don't have anything on that yet. We're going to draft up some options and present that as a way of just keeping momentum going on the work that we did.
Part of that is that part of the challenge with this comprehensive plan was we had to go back and look for information. And if this information was available when the next comprehensive plan is done, we'll be able to, or they, hopefully it won't be me, we'll be able to move right into drafting the new plan and not spend so much time chasing those out.
So they're footnotes for the current 10 years.
And it's already, we already required by ordinance, so this would just be an application of something we're not really using now that we should.
I think the other big consensus from that meeting was to start a couple years or a year or so earlier than we did for this round, so that way we don't overrun, since it does take time to put it all together. There was one other, but I think it got broken out to a separate agenda item, so I can.
Yeah, go ahead. Discussion action on composition of PC.
Yeah, so it was, and Jesse, feel free to fill in. One idea that came to the surface at that meeting was currently we have Jesse, who serves as the town council representative on planning, and Jesse is also on the budget and finance committee. And so as a way of keeping continuity in the ideas that were in the comprehensive plan into action, where the rubber meets the road is often budget and finance, it was a suggestion that on future town councils, that person who sits as the planning commission representative from town council is also one of the members of budget and finance, just to keep this trend going. It enables review of action items and goals that are in the comprehensive plan. Well, again, we're trying to keep momentum over the next 10 years.
We talked about this at the budget and finance meeting too, and everyone there, including Deb, was definitely supportive of the idea. There's previously a pretty big disconnect between the nuts and bolts finance and the planning, and so the idea that we came up with was, and I don't know if it's best done by ordinance or policy or how we do that, but would be to, like, if we wanted to do an ordinance, it's 13302. We just have to append that the town council appointee to the planning commission also serve on the budget and finance committee.
Well, we decided not to put the standing committees in as ordinances,
Okay.
so they're acts of council, so it would be done that way. And one thing to consider is, would it be, we're very glad you are doing it, but might it in future be a burden for someone to sit on both, because they're both heavy committees? Maybe it's ex officio, kind of like we have one person sitting on it, something like that. But yeah, for sure, especially in the season coming up where there's going to be a lot of heavy ups on our infrastructure, having planning communicating directly with budget and finance would be a good thing.
However we want to do that, and I don't know the best way to do that, but
Yeah, I'm not sure that the route to take would be through a governing ordinance. These are standing committees.
Right.
And future administrations may not want a budget and finance committee. We may end up having a city manager, or we may have some other organization. So I think we should leave that out of the ordinance process, and we can certainly do it by policy.
Okay.
Just
because I noticed when I was reading, there was no once you get to the budget and finance, it's a dead end there. There's no.
I was just gonna comment that ORC is working on a pretty extensive, ordinance amendment, to address the, terms and nomination process for the standing, commissions, committees. And, this could easily fall under that, although, it wouldn't address your concern. So, it could be something that could easily be added into the ordinance that we're working on, if you all want it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the more we can have a manual that can move forward, the whole council changes over, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
I think policies are nice in that they can be passed easily and they have immediate effect, but I also have been around long enough to know that policies in Harpers Ferry tend to get forgotten, and
Seriously.
And the whole thought was, the mechanism is not as important as the formalization of the idea.
Yeah. Well, let's not lose sight of this initiative, Jesse or Zach or whatever.
Thanks, Jesse, for being the members doing both, all the hard work.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Happy to do it.
Thank you, Zach. Parks and Rec, general report.
I'm still up here. In a quick general report is that over the summer we had 2 out of 3 successful music events at the gazebo, the summer concert series. One was initially delayed due to the heavy fire smoke that drifted in, and then again got rained out. So we missed 1 out of the 3. So the 2 that went off were really well. We enjoyed it. I think we drew. The first one was 60, 70 folks, and then the second one that we had is pushing towards 100 mark, which is a sizable crowd for that gazebo area. We took down some notes about how to improve lighting conditions and things like that for next time, but it's a success and we're going to hopefully do it again. And then looking ahead, our meeting next week is going to set up the dates for all of our fall events that are coming up, fall and winter. So a lot more to come in the season ahead.
Just want to say thank you for the gazebo concerts. I think they were really nice. The quality of music and the vibe, just impeccable.
Yeah. And I know it's on Parks and Rec, but going to the Appalachian Chamber Music Festival concert on Friday was amazing. The music was great, and it was nice to go to one that we didn't have to organize. Working with them next year would be a good way to add some of the musical variety and additional concerts to the gazebo.
Any other questions for Zach? Thank you, Zach. 5D Water Commission, general report from the PWA. Steve?
Well, our council number this month is in the high 20%. Again, this is we're in a much better trend than we have been. I don't know how it'll affect next month, but we do have a rather significant leak over in Mudford, or whatever that is, Mudford Road. I don't know exactly what. I've got Greenridge has taken a look at it. Hopefully, they will be hoping they'll be in there tomorrow or Wednesday, because I think we've got a service line that's at this point probably almost completely severed. We're struggling a little bit, kind of put water in the tanks. So we're working on that, but like I said, all in all, we're definitely in the right direction. The meter project, this past month, with the bills that just went out, we sent out roughly 750 bills went out that came from the meter collectors, and I think about 70, 72, or low 70s went out. And we actually have meters that we still had to manually read. So we're able to basically send out about 90% of our bills to collectors. Great. We are still working on a plan to get the done. Like I said before, that 10% of the tricky ones, tend to be the more challenging ones. But, we'll continue working on that. The collector in High Acre, that that is fully on operational and tied into the system.
All right.
So that's hopefully just gonna kind of keep operating in a nice fashion that we're not gonna have to worry about. The Gilbert Street project is, we don't have a start date on that. We've been still trying to finalize some drawings, working with some of the residents, particularly leaders that we are going to be moving up to the street. However, again, talking to Greenridge on Friday when we were looking at Hartford, we're probably looking end of August or September to get the Gilbert Street work on. Started and done. Hopefully I'm going the project for the tanks is so phase 3, I think we're still finalizing those drawings and working on getting those out for bid, getting the bid package together for all that. But that one is, at this point, it is still moving. Hopefully a bid package going out. We have goal to start doing that work in the spring. I think this past Saturday, as we talked to husband. I may still have a on-call contract operator who listens to the wife in the background. I believe that Saturday was Tom Hall's last day. Tom has, he has a contract on his house in Berkeley Springs, got a contingent contract to buy Pennsylvania, and I think that with everything that goes to getting out a house that he's lived in for 40 years and expecting to move, I think that unless he's down on Big Rim Road just for a little bit of respite, he's coming. So we will be short term. We'll be looking to try to cover that with folks that are struggling with schedules. Brandy and Jacob and mine. A little bit of overtime on their part and time on my part to cover some of the shifts, particularly Saturday shift. So we met with Alan Martian afternoon about chief operator training, which ideally we put the whole group of us through that. Alan will come down and do that as soon as we have the materials as possible. And as I told Alan, I would like all of us to go through it. We all understand, appreciate what's involved, and we can all assist whoever happens to be the person that gets tagged. One more with the collector system and the Reedy package. That's the brand name of the software that we use to look at the meters. Kathy has she is becoming increasingly adept at looking at that system and being able to, at least in the first level, identify use patterns that would suggest leaks on the customer side of the meter. You think about it, it's kind of like what we've been looking at with tanks. At some point during the night, you would kind of expect, or in a 24-hour period, at some point you would expect that no water would go. I was telling you with tanks, would expect no water, which should be leaving the tanks. Similar to any meter in your house, at some point your meter flow should stop. And when we see that it doesn't, she's been in touch with a number of customers And we have been identifying, can't say where the leak, but we can tell if they do have a leak. Usually comes with a denial that this couldn't be. Why, we have to go through is the meter and is it, these things really accurate and all the rest. But in all cases thus far, we have, ultimately the customer has found and discovered the leak and has stopped it. So that saves them money.
Yeah.
It's gonna save us money, ultimately. And hopefully we're not gonna have quite as many leak adjustments, that's a real positive.
Just a couple things, Steve. Tom will probably be back, so. The second thing is I received a link to the allegedly the latest information regarding the getting into water systems throughout the country. I will send that link to you. You may have read it, but supposedly this is the latest.
Okay, and I've talked to the mayor a little bit about some of this. I think Storm, you had an air gap question, and Jesse, you had a question about audits. Let me cover the audit thing first. The EPA actually, it was probably about a year and a half ago, the EPA put out, actually made a third-party consulting firm available to walk through doing an audit. This was a phone kind of thing. They ask you a bunch of questions, and then you answer as best you can, and then they kind of put it all together. But essentially, you have what effectively is sort of a starting plan of what you might want to be looking at. We have done that. We actually jumped on that, by the way. So we have done that. It's only as good as questions that are asked and detail that they get into and how well you can respond. But it's a good start. In terms of the air gap, and an air gap is basically if you disconnect your system from the internet by pulling the plug, that's considered an air gap. The bad actors cannot get through a plug that doesn't, connect to your computer. And that was the primary recommendation that Paul Harrier, the manufacturer of our system, made when we put it in, and we did implement that right out of the chute. We actually went so far as to put in our little switch box so that it is not as difficult for us to pull the cord and put the plug back in. Have to push the switch, make sure that we got a little collar on it, so we can't hit it accidentally, and all that. And my operator is good at seeing that. We can see the switch in what position the switch is. But it does require us to take that step. The only time we tend to be connected is if we need to get if we have to let somebody onto the system, typically from Paul, come in and do some work. So we connect, they come in, do their thing, then we disconnect. So we have been doing that. Now we have had, let's say, a data anomaly that I cannot explain at this point that we are working on. And that was with our tank signal. And that was on July the 4th. What we found with that was that the settings on a modem, we've got a modem up on the tanks, we've got a modem down at the plant, and they communicate with each other. And the modem down at the plant, we lost the settings. Don't really know how. I have investigated that a little bit more. I have a friend who works in this business. Essentially, he is hired to break into systems and see how far he can get. And so I talked to him a little bit about, what we had seen, and he gave me some advice. One of which was the modems that we were sold in that package have gone out of support, and so he recommends that we get the manufacturer to
The vulnerability on that, we don't have the signals to the tanks, we have to go back and forth and you know, kind of look at the tanks and figure out it's an inconvenience. But I think some of these attacks were meant not so much to do a whole lot of harm, but just create disruption. So it could be, don't know.
So this is like what tank level tells us to make water and fill it up with that kind of thing.
And basically where it's really most important is that if we were close to full, we wouldn't want to overfill the tanks.
Right.
We're usually not close to full. So, and it's a gradual increase. It's not like all of a sudden, you know, we have to immediately shut everything down.
Yeah.
So it's an inconvenience. It doesn't show if we had a precipitous drop. Right. We have seen when we had the main split, the main part on the 340. That was a precipitous drop, and we actually saw it in the tanks before we saw anything else. So, but it cannot, that does not get into the control of our filtration system. That brings an analog signal up at the tanks, converts it into digital, is interpreted back into analog, fed into as an analog signal as to what the tank level is in the control system. So they can't really get into the control system itself with our filtration through that piece. So we are looking, like I said, we are looking at that. We lost it again. Last week we lost it, but it's not the same cost. So we are investigating that. Like I said, we do know that the modems are beyond end of life. They're end of support. And so that means typically that vulnerabilities are not updated, they're not patched. So it's probably time to replace those. Certainly will be time to replace those when that system, when we do the pump station up there, that system is also designed to be able to control the pumps of the new pump station. Pump station's not there, we're not doing any control of that system right now, but yes, when we get to that point, we'll want to make sure that system. And that doesn't communicate through the internet, that communicates through cell phone. So if somebody gets a cell phone number or figures out a cell phone number, they could get in, and that's where the vulnerability is.
And is that what the EPA audit was, to check those vulnerabilities? Is that what the EPA audit was?
Yeah, well,
To kind of
check, but yeah, say where would you be vulnerable? Now, I would tell you that in the EPA audit, I do not recall, I have to go back and look at it, I don't recall they really talked about something like that. And usually are looking at your filtration systems. You got these programmable logic controllers that are affecting everything on the filtration system. But in that telemetry system, just for our tank signal, we have a modem up there, we have a PLC, a programmable logic controller up there, and then down in the plant we have a programmable logic controller and modem down in the plant just for that system. So I've got 2 PLCs and 2 modems right there. And all that's doing right now is telling me how much water I have.
The new CISA guidance, it does have a list of specific hardware that's related to these incidents.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the PLCs and the PLC controllers, like the centralized controllers and the modems. Yeah, it's got a list. Yeah, and remedies.
I would assume the answer is no, but do the new meters present another avenue to the plant? Probably not, or other havoc.
Yes and no. The new meters not controlling anything in the plant, and they're not connected directly to our plant system. There is one of these cellular modems in each of the collectors. Okay, it is a more updated one. It's not an end-of-life one that we have. And what the structure with those is, they receive the meters, transmit their information to the collector. That is stored in the collector, and then I believe it's once every 3 hours there is a message that is sent out into the cloud through a cellular signal, a cell phone signal, that that information is then broadcast up to wherever that's going, and then we on the internet, we're able to then get into their cloud-based system to see what came into their system. So that disruption, yes, it could be disruptive certainly to our billing and to that sort of thing. So that's, yeah, there's.
But we can always drive around.
That's why.
We can always drive around.
Yeah, always drive around. We realize we have a problem. But again, that one is not, and when they transfer files, that the way that Kathy moves information from that feeding system to our billing package, that is done by generating a file. One, then you up the file is downloaded from one, and then she uploads it into another. It's not simple numbers and serial numbers. So other than potentially kind of just bring up what our bills would look like, it's not a vector to get in and start putting in all kinds of nefarious code.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all encrypted, the radio.
The radio from I believe meter to the electric, yes.
Yeah.
And then beyond, but the thing is, okay, these cell modems, they do tend, they refer to as a base level attack. They do not tend to have the most robust security on.
All right, any other questions for Steve?
That one is just an ongoing, I guess we call it, job security.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Mayor, did you say Tom Hall would be back?
No, it was a joke.
Okay. I would like to, for Tom Hall to get the message that the council just thanks him for years of coming to our rescue and being such a great help to the town.
That will be properly.
Well, I know that he is super important, and I have no idea who he is. I've heard his name for years, and I've never met him.
You've been drinking his water for at least 2 years.
That will be properly conveyed, Chris. Okay, 5E, Treasurer's Report Review and Approval of Financial Reports, June 2026. Norm?
Yes, imagine to some extent that I am our finance officer.
You should sit over there.
No, sorry. I'm good where I am. So she did supply me with this information. I do have the backup data and can answer additional questions to some degree, but if there are detailed questions, it will need to save. So the financials, this is the close for June 2026, and these are preliminary reports, so not the final year end. And this is operating under General Fund Revision 7, where the reserve stands at $1,208,200, $1,208,200. Operating income at $1,414,822.91, which is 99.8% the target, so basically right on target, and expenses at 99.6%, also on target. For water works, it is revision 2, and water billing income is 99.9% of projected, and with other income sources included, it goes to 118%. Those are not the operating income. And then items of potential concern, so there's Senate Bill 234 reserve and the bond renewal and replace. There's some juggling that gets done at the year end, and we don't know the amount yet. So the month of June transfers are going to be calculated to true up the year end. And what can create the disjoint is one transfer is based on a percentage of billings, the other on a percentage of payments received. So those will be trued up, but that means the exact number cannot be known right now.
I move to approve the financial reports as presented.
Or second on the motion, second, Jesse, discussion on the motion to approve. David?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was voting.
All those in favor of the motion to approve, opposed, 7-0.
In your packages, you have the approval of invoices and purchases. Deb left one note from Hoy Shingleton that it does cover items included in construction projects described as construction in progress, and these items we will be attempting to accrue the costs from them. So we're hoping to get some of this money back.
Move to approve the invoices and purchases as presented.
Second on the motion to approve, second from David. Discussion on the motion to approve. All those in favor of the motion to approve, opposed, motion carries 7-0. Budget and Finance. Discussion and action regarding distribution system phase 1.
We heard from the Public Works Administrator about this. We're awaiting the one easement resolution and are busy scheduling the Green Ridge. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay. Discussion and action regarding FY24 distribution system phase 2 water meters resolution 3.
Yes, so you did get the update from the PWA, and I'm going to read this resolution. This is resolution number 3 of the Town of Harpers Ferry approving invoices relating to construction and other services for the water meter project and authorizing payment thereof. Whereas the Town of Harpers Ferry has reviewed the invoices attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference in relation to the construction of the water project funded by the US EPA CG Fund and the West Virginia Governor Grant Funds and Fines as follows. That none of the items for which payment is proposed have been requested from another source. That each item for which the payment is proposed is to be paid is or was necessary in connection with the project and constitutes a cost of the project. That each of such costs has been otherwise properly incurred. That payment for each of the items proposed is due and owing. Now therefore be it resolved by the Town Council of Harpers Ferry that payment of the attached invoices as summarized below are hereby authorized and directed. Vendor Florida Line Incorporated, EPA funds $82,359.89. Government grant funds $20,589.97 for a total of $102,949.86. Adopted by the Council of the Town of Harpers Ferry at a meeting held on the 10th day of August 2026 by Mayor Greg Cron.
Move to approve water meters, resolution 3 as presented.
Is there a second on the motion? Second, David. Discussion. All those in favor of the motion to approve, opposed, 7-0. Motion carries.
And we'll need you to sign that after the.
Yeah, well,
That isn't by each person's name.
Put the final on there.
That's not by each person's name.
We got another one.
There may be one.
Want the final invoice?
This one will.
number 3, discussion action regarding update FY26 CDS phase 3.
Yes, the Public Works Administrator also covers this. That was the water storage tank restoration and is also the Bolivar Heights pressurized zone. And then water distribution in other areas of the utility. Drawings are in the final stages. Permits are being updated. Projects should go to bid in September, October.
Number 4, discussion action regarding maintenance of mains contracting.
Yes, so we've already covered the Fillmore Street invoice. It was among the ones that we approved. We have now consumed $6,050 of the $10,000 that this council approved to spend from the renew and replace. So we're on target. And as mentioned, Mudford Street is the current hot issue.
Number 5, discussion action regarding waterworks vehicle.
We will be taking delivery of a spanking new Ford small pickup truck expected by the end of the week.
Oh, that moved up.
Yeah,
That
right.
was supposed to be February.
So August is the new February.
Number 7, discussion action regarding Harpers Ferry Waterworks water testing services.
Yeah, this is something that Jesse brought forward. That there's word that the state of West Virginia may be closing its water testing service that we use. I think it's in Carnesville. And we are required to do that testing. And we discussed the potential to collaborate with other local water agencies and operators to manage this in some fashion should the state-sponsored lab disappear. So that's really as far as we got.
So the labs that have closed, they're closing because of the state laboratory consolidation project. And I think, it wouldn't be a guarantee, but I don't think it would be a bad idea just to call and ask if that facility is included in the consolidation project. I mean, we can kind of take some pressure off ourselves if it's, officially not included.
Steve, could you make that call?
I'll
Are they taking samples for us or are we sending them?
Taking them.
We're
taking them.
We're taking
Okay.
Let's look at truck.
And then beyond that, just in the back of the head,
Yeah.
if then.
Jesse, Steve's going to make contact. Number 8, discussion action regarding subscription terms.
Yes, a town council member asked that a software program that's necessary for them to prepare documents for the website reset project be paid for by the town. It is attached to the member's town Microsoft subscription and will only be covered for the duration of this specific project. I move to add the Visio components to council member Melton's town Microsoft account for the duration of the website reset project, reimbursing Mr. Melton back to October of 2025 when the project began.
Okay, second on the motion, second Chris, discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion?
Can I vote on that?
Up to you. I would refuse.
No, would refuse myself.
I'm sorry, Dave.
I was voting again, very slowly, sorry.
All those in favor of the motion, let's try this one again. Opposed, 7-0.
I recuse myself.
Number 9, discussion and action regarding cash management strategy.
Yes, no action on this right now, but the finance officer has been investigating the use of interest-generating sweep accounts. These are a very low-risk financial instrument that can allow the town to earn a substantial amount of interest on funds that it holds in reserve.
Wow.
So basically, you have your main account, and you set a threshold of the amount you want to keep in that, and then each night they will sweep any excess into what is usually a treasury account or other government funds. So it can be around 3%, and with the type of funds we have, it can be a material amount.
Wow, great. Number 10, discussion action regarding Harper's Ferry annual signature event. This issue came to me from Annette Gavin Bates at the Jefferson County Convention and Visitor Bureau. They, being JCCVB, received a request for funding from the Harper's Ferry Merchants Association for assisting with Old Time Christmas. Of course, we had our own, they came to us also. Now, JCCVB will not approve unless the town declares this to be our signature event. So let me give you an example of what's been approved in the past. Charlestown, their signature event is the auto show that they do on the street. I forget which one Ranson is. Shepherdstown just had a signature event. So we don't have to, but if we declare our signature event, then I will inform Annette in writing, and they will process the funding to the Merchants Association. So it's up to this body to make that decision. Jesse?
Can we change it later? If we do not want this to be our signature event in the future, could we change
This
it?
is for just this year.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
And we do not have a signature event now.
No.
Right.
No.
Yeah, I think that if there is a signature event, that's probably it. Remember when, yes, 1971, I remember when it was on life support during the last council that there were years when it was much more prominent, but for sure, it's something that people anticipate, and that you have the postcard perfect pictures of the town dressed up for the holidays. So I moved to designate Old Time Christmas as Harper's Ferry's signature event
For 2020.
for 2026.
No.
Well, yeah, what's the period?
For 2026
For the
holidays.
current cycle. Current.
Is there a second on the motion? Second, Chris, discussion?
Suggestion is, I think the pumpkin roll is gonna take it over at some point.
Well, we went to High Street, yes.
Discussion about that. So, yeah, that'll be next year. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve, opposed, 7-0. We'll inform Annette. All right, number 11, discussion action regarding payments to the summer concert series.
So this bubbled up to budget and finance because, as mentioned, there was one of the concerts that did not go off because of weather. It was actually rescheduled once and still didn't go, and it was canceled. Now, the contract as it was written did not have a cancellation clause. I will say, as someone who who has and still makes their living in this business, that's a very ordinary and regular thing. Even if the concert does not go, if it's working musicians, professional musicians, they have allocated their time to do it. So the request had been to pay half the amount that was contracted for the performer. Now, I don't know, Patty, if you can enlighten about the current state of that. Is that still a request?
Well, as I tried to explain, Parks and Rec has not had a meeting yet, and this is something that we're gonna vote on next Monday. And, Parks and Rec was allocated X amount of dollars for this series. And we would take that as part of our expenditures, which we reconcile and don't go over the amount that we spent. So Parks and Rec really needs to vet this, whether you guys vote to do it or not, we still have to do that.
Well, we could do a motion that's pending Parks and Rec's decision if it's something that,
Is it necessary?
And I was just gonna ask, we've already allocated the money, why are we voting again?
Yeah.
well, the reason would be because it's actually not in the contract.
But that's what we're waiting on.
Right.
I mean, so what is there, there's no cancellation policy in the contract at all? So, so does that mean that, which side is that coming from? I mean, if there's nothing in there, do we still owe them the whole amount by contract?
We have to negotiate.
Oh, well, I mean,
That's true if we've already allocated
yeah,
600.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
I mean, it's not their fault it rained.
yeah,
Well, no, it is
Well,
the
that
practice
too is-
that,
Yeah.
there would be a cancellation clause for outdoor events.
In Music on the Ridge, where we have big ticket items, we definitely have those in contracts. And we have, with all of our contracts.
How much money are we talking?
$300,
This is even.
not 600.
It just came up because I thought maybe the financial officer was gonna get town, I was trying to get ahead of the game, they were gonna void this one check, we're gonna want a $300 check, and kind of mushroomed into coming to town council.
Oh, I would say, no motions needed, but it makes sense if that's what Parks and Rec wants to do.
Yeah.
And we will, give you the breakdown of what we did spend from the bucket of money that was allocated for.
Awesome. Thanks again for putting it on.
Thanks, Patty. Thanks, Storm. Number 12, discussion action regarding HFPD body camera policies. I'm not going to get into the specifics on this, or we can if we go into executive session, but it's not needed. I had a meeting with John Brown last week. I instructed him implicitly that they are not to turn body cams off ever. It is an officer safety issue. It is a town liability issue. He completely agrees, and I believe he brought that up at their staff meeting that he conducted last Wednesday evening at 7 or 6 o'clock. So in case you hear stuff, they're not turning their body cams off for anything. It's
For anybody?
or for anybody.
Go ahead.
It is not our policy, and those cameras are for the officer safety and town liability. So any questions on that, I can get to John Brown and further clarify this if you need me to. I think I made my point rather clearly last week.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's clear.
Discussion action regarding public safety and law enforcement policy. Storm, you wanted to talk about that?
Yeah, it's not really budget and finance, but this is, on April 13th, we approved a resolution, adopted it on this subject. The full name of it was a resolution affirming the Corporation of Harpers Ferry's commitment to West Virginia state law, constitutional rights, and the prioritization of local law enforcement resources. I can go into more detail, but we did approve it pending review by legal counsel, because there were elements that we wanted to be 100% certain did not buck state law. And that legal language was taken from a similar resolution by the city of Charlestown. So I think it would be a pretty simple thing for our town attorney to do that. And then once it's cleared, it was to be printed out and signed by by council members.
I will send that to Ken tomorrow.
Awesome, thank you.
I will do. Number, let's see, XIV 14.
Yeah,
See, I knew that.
I can, yeah, I'm gonna spring it to you when we get to the site map.
Discussion action regarding town websites.
Yes, so this is now happening. So we had a design kickoff meeting with Revise, which is our vendor, and the project lead, who's going to be with us through the whole project. It's going to go, a lot of, maybe a couple dozen people are going to work on this, and she is going to be our advocate and guide through it, along with the designer. And this is the designer of what you're going to see on the web page, what information is going to be in the bars, what kind of features. We went through detail by detail. And the next step, and so they are working on that now, and they're going to present the draft to us to be able to review it, go back and forth a little bit. At that point, once it's set, it'll go to the coder, who will actually make it into a functioning page. At the same time, Jesse is going to be working with another specialist to nail down our sitemap, which is basically the blueprint of how all the information across the entire website is going to lay together and function based on input from stakeholders.
Yeah, this is stakeholder input, and then that ties into the draft document that I sent around a few months ago, that big monstrous 50-page thing. So that's the basis for all that. So as soon as this stage is done, we will move right into the more technical navigation side. So it's pretty exciting stuff. You know, it is really finally happening. It's more than just phone calls.
Yeah. And there is an additional potential financial angle that we're already prepared for, that it's going to be tying to our internal information systems, which is mostly Microsoft OneDrive, that we're not really utilizing much now. So we will be, as we go along, figure out how to integrate it. And there may be some modules that we'll need to add. There may be some help that we may need from our IT vendor. We have allocated an additional $10,000 for this implementation. We think that's going to be enough, because most of what we need is already included. Since it's been a while since we signed the contract, there are a couple of things that are now required of municipal websites that need to be added that were not part of the contract. We don't know yet what those will cost, but I expect it will be modest, given what the entire thing is costing.
And everything we're doing is based on, you know, this industry standards. So there's not really any custom coding or anything going on. You know, this is all configuration of existing modules, things like that. So it should be very affordable for us.
And the nuts and bolts work that's going to take the time is porting over all of the current information, linking everything up, make it searchable, usable. But at the other end of it, it's really going to be nice. It's going to look great. And the current estimate for the new site to go live is around February or early March.
Okay, oh, great. Thank you, Storm. Ordinance review, ORC. Kevin, if you don't have a report, then you can go right into number 2, discussion and action on first reading for approval of ordinance 2026-04, signs pertaining to historic and soliciting signage.
Don't really have a report. So this is ordinance number 2026-04, an ordinance to amend ordinance articles 1302 and 1316 to allow historical monuments and interpretive signs.
I move to accept
I'll second it.
the ordinance.
We have discussion on the motion?
Couple of just questions
Yeah.
for clarity. So as far as the one about solicitations, I assume the language was vetted to not be overbroad, that, or can, you know, that, because like person, there's the idea of a corporate person, that would it technically be possible for a company to put up a sign for some purpose?
Yeah, that struck me also when I was reading this.
And there's an easy fix for it, which if you use the term natural person, it refers to an actual individual versus an entity.
I think that it says, it talks about nonprofits, churches. It specifically says who is eligible. Let me see here.
What was that for the line?
I'm not quite sure I'm understanding your question.
I don't think I am either.
Let me go to the
Yeah.
I have it.
Oh, thank you. So sign soliciting donations for a person, group, or cause. So the term person legally could also include companies. So but there's a term natural person, which means someone born into the world and not an LLC or an incorporated entity. So just thinking like, a lawyer.
Citizens United kind of thing, yeah.
Is this at
Exactly.
1316.02K?
Yes.
Is that where you're at?
Yes. Bottom of second page,
So the definite,
line
so
82.
there aren't any definitions in this ordinance.
Say what, David?
There aren't any definitions in this ordinance. So you can't, like, you could clarify it with a definition, but we don't have a definition section in this article.
Well, just changing it to natural person would cure that.
You want to make that amendment? Is it going to amend that in a motion?
Do I need a motion for that, or is that something that?
So if we could, well, Kevin, if the person making the motion, put that amendment in and the second agrees, we could make that change right now, right? First reading?
I mean, it's not a substantial change that changes the meaning of the ordinance.
Well, I'm certainly okay with natural people.
Yeah, so,
So we're just getting.
yeah, let's get amend the motion. So somebody amend the motion.
I move to change the term person to natural person in the ordinance.
There's a second on the amendment. All those in favor of the amended motion, main motion?
Who seconded?
Jesse did. We're at the main motion, which includes,
And one more question.
Yeah.
Just I assume that the First Amendment issues were discussed as far as who can put up information about historical markers, that kind of thing.
Well, they're kind of, First Amendment is addressed elsewhere in the ordinance. What we addressed in this new section on historical signs or interpretive signs, I'm sorry, is that after review by historic landmarks, the town council would be making the final approval, and kind of intentionally, we did not go into great detail on this, but we said that review of interpretive signs and historical monuments will consider the accuracy, appropriateness of the message, and aesthetics of the signage or structure.
Great, thank you. And one last one, that no historical sign or monument may be placed within 150 feet of any other such interpretive sign. Does that mean you can't have like 3 different interpretive signs about the same thing, or simply not 3 within the same?
It would be any signage. So the concern on here was basically proliferation, clutter, and we wanted to avoid that.
Got it. And if it were deemed appropriate and necessary, it could always be done by act of council.
Sure.
But I have no case in mind. But
So I'm confused by that one, because above that is a sign may be within 25 feet of another sign. I gotta find it. Hold on. So on 1316.02K, it says sign soliciting. No, sorry. That's not
David,
it.
speak up just a little bit.
Sorry, Chris. There's a provision that says a sign may be within 25 feet, may be within 25 feet of another sign. There it is, G. It's 1316.04G. Sign space and requirements, no projecting round pole or freestanding sign may be located within 25 feet of another projecting ground pole or freestanding sign.
Yeah, let's see.
So that seems to contradict the 150.
The context for the 25 feet, which is actually what we started at. We went back and forth about distances quite a bit. Yeah, that 25 feet is on general provisions for,
And then what's the 150? Sorry.
That's just between historical signs.
freestanding signs. So I guess this is a tighter, distance for the historical.
So those two contradict each other is my question.
No,
Why
so you can't have, like if you just had two street signs or directional signs, they can be within 25 feet, but you cannot have two historical signs be any closer than 150.
From each other.
Correct. But you can have a stop sign or a directional sign within 25 feet of the historical sign.
So I don't want it too interpretive if I've got a lot to say about, I've seen they're around here where you've got a couple next to each other. We don't want that on private property. Is that what we're talking about? What are we trying to do there? What's the purpose? What's the clutter? Where's this clutter that we're worried about? I'm just curious. Like where? I'm not being like abrasive about it. I'm trying to understand it.
No, it pinged me as well.
Yeah.
There was just a concern of having lots of interpretive signage up. Next to each other, that we wanted to avoid that. Again, we did go back and forth about, I think in my original draft, I started with the 25 feet. But we kind of compromised and up to that. And the concern was just
Too many.
just
Like,
clutter.
Yeah.
Clutter, because
Yeah.
They don't have that much.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you look at 150, I mean, that's every house and a half, as far as, reality. And that's a lot of signs. If they're 4 feet by
Yeah.
4 feet square every 150 feet, I mean, that's a lot of signs.
And one thing that we should probably also remind you of is that we also included, Christian, help me out because this was your baby, I think. We included the possibility that on private homes, which could be all the Armory homes in a row, that there could be some signage right up on the front of the house by the door, as a lot of towns here in the community. So we're allowing that, but for basically a kiosk like yours, like we see in the park or over at Oddfellows or at the Lutheran Church, we did have a concern that we did not want to too much of that, too much of a good thing.
And I balked at it when I first read it at first, but as long as there's a way that you still could, it's like, well, yes, of course, that's worthy to do, so you don't end up with, every house is special, no house is special, that kind of thing. But there are definitely places in Lower Town that have that. I mean, you have the Pearl Tatton display next to that rock, and that's only 10 feet away. But I don't think through most of the town you have the same thing.
Okay. Let me try to recap where I think we are. We have approved an amended motion to put natural. Now we need to go back to the amended full motion. All those in favor of the amended full motion, raise your hand. Opposed, motion carries 7-0. Discussion and action on first reading for approval of ordinance 2026-05, dark sky pertaining to the protection of night sky.
Yes, let me get to it here. So this is ordinance number 2026-05, an ordinance to establish an outdoor lighting code to meet dark sky requirements. And I don't know if you may want to present anything about that.
Wanted to thank the town council for all of the work that they've been given us, as well as ordinance compliance, in getting this to the, been about 18 months worth of work, and it's been as much involved in it how this would possibly bring in, so we're kind of focused.
Okay. All right, council, let the record reflect that, Storm has recused himself because he serves on the committee, so chair will entertain a motion.
Yeah. First up, I'd like to thank Karen and her committee for lots of good work. And I would like to move to approve the first reading of ordinance number 2026-05 as presented.
Your second on the motion to approve. We second. Christian, discussion on the motion to approve.
Did this change much from the one you guys presented?
Answer was no. Other discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve, opposed. Motion carries 6-0. Norm? Oh, you're hiding in the bathroom. All right. IOC, David, anything?
We're just still meeting. I'm actually trying to think. I've been waiting on some information from a woman at the West Virginia Municipal League. I actually just sent her an email as this started. She hasn't sent me what she said she would send me. So we're meeting Thursday to talk about more job descriptions. We are talking about putting together a manual that will help kind of coalesce a lot of the things we're doing, put them in one place. And we still have discussions. I'm glad to hear the website's coming together, because one of the discussion points has been like, where is this information going to land and be found and not be lost, you know? So I don't know if I've left anything out, you guys, but
Anything else?
Point of inquiry, what happened on the last item?
It passed.
Oh, great.
And we made you the chief inspector of dark.
We're talking about this.
Okay, new business, discussion and action regarding the implications and response to WV Senate Bill 659. I know, Christian, you've done a lot of work on that, Jesse too, maybe, on behalf of planning. It's a ominous bill, has great implications for Harpers Ferry. As a historic district with our small parcels that were set up in 18 whatever. And this could be potentially very damaging to this town. And I think that we need to take a serious look at this. And so your thoughts or whatever, Christian?
Well, I'll read a few things I put down. I said, in my opinion, I think this West Virginia Senate Bill 659 will affect most cities and towns positively. I think this is actually a good law. Unfortunately, I think it's negative for Harpers Ferry, particularly us being a 100% National Historic District.
Yeah.
We're one of the only ones in West Virginia. And there'll be some negative effects. So the purpose is really to increase housing stock really quickly on existing homeowner lots. And they'll allow auxiliary dwelling units, we call them ADUs. They have bills all over the country. This is nothing new in the United States. We're kind of like in the end of the pack getting involved in this. The law is in effect right now. Other places call them in-law suites, granny flats, cottages, backyard cottages, garden cottages, carriage houses, and coach houses, because you could actually have a garage underneath and then the units above. I feel at a minimum we need to review our housing ordinances and Appendix A to make sure they hit state requirements for the ADU. You have to, that's a minimum to do. But my larger concern is that over time, there'll be out-of-state investors, corporate entities will buy our single-family homes and add the ADUs and operate 2 unmonitored short-term rentals on one lot. That includes parking.
Yeah.
That's ultimately I think it'll change the character of the town.
I think Christian made a good point. He didn't bring it up just now verbally, but it's in here somewhere that you wrote, Christian, that the philosophy behind the ADUs was to increase the housing stock for affordable housing and all that sort of stuff. We know that in Harper's Ferry, if this gets into operation, we will just be supplying additional places to stay for tourists coming in, and not the purpose of this, which is what West Virginia, I think their intent was on this. So it's of concern to me about that. And I think we have a couple options. Let me throw one on the table. I think it would be, might be beneficial to go right to the head and ask for a sit down with Patricia and maybe 1 or 2 of you along with myself, and just pick her brain a little bit to you know, about this entire thing. Christian, you're into that.
Yeah, I'd say the first thing we really need to do is get with our attorney, town attorney, and I'm sure he's already heard this from Martinsburg. I'm sure, because he's the city attorney there, and I'm sure there's a lot of things percolating throughout the state in different municipalities. So we need to know more before I think we really, I would say that's our first step. And then with Patricia, who we know, she probably could modify or change the law, but that won't happen until into February and March.
Is there anything that's stopping us from putting because I'd like to go to the attorney and say, can we require one of those units has to have a person living there?
Nope. Specifically forbidden.
No, where?
No.
In that bill.
That bill is really.
See,
Well,
So it deals with not only does it not have to be occupied, there's no, it specifically forbids familial.
it says you can't impose more onerous development standards on an accessory dwelling unit beyond those set forth in this article.
But you got to go back up to,
right?
you know, when I agree that this is going to be a pretty substantial change for Harper's Ferry. After reading the bill, I felt that it wasn't quite as scary as I thought it was at first. It allows us to still enforce,
Architectural standards.
the Appendix A issues, the setbacks, things. Our laws still apply. What it does restrict us from doing is adding special restrictions for these auxiliary units.
But I'm not. So I'm gonna talk to our attorney and say I'm not imposing it on the accessory dwelling unit. I just when these get built, I need to have a resident here. I want a resident to be on the lot. I don't want 2 visitors on the lot.
I think that's what we want, but there's not a way
There is
to
a way.
legislate that.
I think
Well-
there's a way using where we can retain home rule and make a cross rule through the whole town and make that rule. But this is an attorney thing,
Yeah.
but I think we can. And-
Because we're not. That's kind of where I'm going. It's like you don't make it more onerous.
No.
It's
But I
just
don't know if
a
you can-
rule that goes across the town.
so you're talking about requiring a house to be occupied by law.
And that pushes us moving back towards a bed and breakfast model, right?
No.
That's what it.
Well,
Well,
you're requiring people, you can't have a vacation home.
no,
Well,
I'm not saying you can't have a vacation home. I'm requiring people like the accessory dwelling unit. If you're gonna have an accessory dwelling unit, there is a resident living on the lot.
no. It can be whatever you want it to be. It's just another house on the lot. It's two houses, one of them just really small.
But one of the houses needs to have a resident,
Well,
because I don't
I don't disagree that if like I don't know how we couldn't take that right now and apply it to vacation homes. Why can't we require?
Well, I think that's what we asked the attorney.
So
I think that's something we asked the attorney, because if you don't do anything, I think they're gonna get built, and we're gonna have more, as Greg says, we're just gonna invite people to build rental housing, short-term rental housing.
I looked at this from a different direction, and I don't like it at all, what's been done. But, you know, if we look at the reality of the fact that this is a law that's active now, you know, the reality is, you know, our setbacks aren't affected, our lot coverage regulations are not affected, zoning regulations, the structure height regulations, new construction regulations, and historic district requirements are all in place. Those are still there and protected. So we do have challenges with potential parking issues. And we do have a problem, you know, I don't know if it's a problem, but there's no secondary meter required for the ADU. And I don't know how much of a problem it is, but other than that, those are the big issues at play here is, you know, and this speaks to the long-term preservation mentality that the town has had for a very long time, you know, and it's why there's a national park here. And we do have strong laws and rules regarding how properties are used. And those remain in place. Those are completely unaffected. Now, what does change is it puts the onus for stating those rules clearly on us. So if we want to impose our historic district regulations, the bill reads like we can do whatever we want as long as it's done by ordinance. And it reads like it would prove a challenge to our current process where we send something to HLC and it's subjectively judged and moved along. I think, you know, if we have specifics in place, that there's a checklist of things, this is approved, this is not approved, then those are going to be protected through this bill.
You're talking about architecture.
Yeah. And, you know, all our construction, you know, you know, none of that changes. Now, I think it's our responsibility to ensure that when these ADUs come along, that our existing rules, that they're held to our existing rules. You know, like our lot coverage rule is a great example. You know, if you've already got a feral cat tower in your yard, or whatever it is that's occupying space in your yard, the ADU you has to be calculated into the, you know, you can't have however many accessory structures we can have. Yeah. The total lot coverage, those still apply. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you can't just take somebody who's got a huge garage and a huge house and say, I'm going to put an ADU in here. It specifically says that our existing regulations apply. And, you know, and I think talking to legislators and, you know, I think towns under 500 people under home rule should have a completely different set of rules. I mean, we're a different animal. But that aside, we're dealing with a law that has been passed and is enforced. And I don't think it's that bad as long as we hold to our ordinances, the things that we have put in place. You know, and that means that we've got to make sure that all the other folks who okay permits and applications, that they understand these rules, our rules, and that they're held to them. And I think that, you know, HLC specifically needs to either develop or have developed for them a specific list of what qualifies as protected, you know, as permissible under our historic district rules, and we move away from the more subjective thing we've got now, because I do believe that is the big challenge presented here is a subjectivity of our historic district adjudication. I believe that, you know, a person with intent and funds could challenge that, because, you know, it's not in there. It's up to HLC to decide. It's not even really up to them. It's up to Kevin. And I don't think that that is going to fly in court if somebody really wants to pitch a fit about it. But I think if we have these rules that they can use to judge and walk by, we'll be okay. And like I said, I don't think that this is right. I think it's, Republican small government in action, and it's wrong. They shouldn't be forcing this on anybody, but it has been forced on us, and that's what we have to deal with.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe we ought to step it back, and I think somebody mentioned it about reaching out to Ken. He's the counsel for Martinsburg, but he's got two other, I believe, or three other municipalities in the state that he's also counsel for. If there's any attorney that's probably versed in this, it would be Ken Sayer.
I think there are three things we can do. That's one of them. The second is to contact Patricia. Maybe there's some legislative patch that can be done. And the third is what Jesse is talking about, in the short term at least, if we could commit to ORC, a very clear statement that ADUs are subject to all the town historical standards, the zoning standards, and other property and structural standards.
Yeah, and that would be something that we would have to take to Ken
Yes.
to make sure that there's.
That we can start that now.
So maybe, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I agree. Talking to the lawyer and getting a firm picture on it, and really starting to comb through our ordinances and seeing which ordinances this is going to affect, and are there things that we could do to mitigate maybe any damage that would result.
Yeah.
The other thing, I want to push back on Christian's comment just a little bit about Harper's Ferry being unique in this. The Eastern Panhandle, our senator's district, is full of historic districts. It's in Charlestown, it's in Martinsburg, it's in Jarrettstown. And they don't have the tourism pressure that we do. But I think she needs to hear from her towns that she represents that, if you're going to pass a law that changes so fundamentally the historic districts in your district, maybe it would be good to talk to people first.
But she's going to say what Jesse just said, though.
Yeah.
She's just going to say, I didn't do that.
Yeah. And
She's just going to say, I gave you all the tools you need to keep the historic architecture.
They've put the onus on the towns to protect themselves, which, is, I don't agree with. They've absolved themselves of, from the state of the historic district, whatever that's called. They've stepped away from that, and they've kind of removed protections from that, and they've pushed that back to the towns to shore up their own defenses and handle it themselves. And I think that we can do that, but we do have to do it. We can't just, it's not going to happen just idly if we wish it to happen. It's going to have to be a focused effort, and, the lawyers are going to be involved. And, I think it's like with all lawyer talking, we need a plan going in, we need questions, and we need,
Yeah. So would everybody agree that the first step would be with Ken? Okay, then.
But I don't think we agree on what we're going to talk to Ken.
Well, let me see how we can come to that. What I'm thinking is that three of you represent the seven of us. And I will set up the meeting with Ken with three of you with a whole list of issues to discuss with Ken. Is anybody opposed to that approach? I mean, so you guys decide which three, obviously three, why we're doing three. And then we'll take it from there to Ken, and then I'll set up the thing with Ken. So let me know, next day or so, what you come up with.
Let's sort it out right now.
Yeah. I mean,
let's pick those three people now.
I think I would like to be on that just because I'm not hearing a pace for me that's going to be that's gonna stop things from happening quickly here in Harper's Ferry. Everything I hear is good, but I feel like we need to talk to him about what we can do ourselves in our ordinances now to like keep this from becoming short-term rentals on steroids. I mean that, and to me, the only way I see right now, and that's why we need to talk to Ken, is like there's got to be an ordinance. I think we need a resident on the property. We got to figure out a way how we can word it so it matches that rule. I don't think there's. I've looked at this. I've stared at this. And that's the only way I can think of it. I'm not an attorney. I didn't even stay in a Holiday Inn recently, so it's like everything else. Yes, we should think about other things, but I think we gotta go in there hard and have them think hard.
Well, the issue here, you know, and this whole just something we need to think about is the key element in this is the law prohibits any special treatment of ADUs.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be, whatever we do can't be targeted at ADUs. It has to be really high level. And then, you know, we've got to be careful that we don't, you know, cut off everybody else.
Yeah, right.
You know?
No, I agree.
I wouldn't mind being on it because I am short-term rental owner. And even I realize that this will change the balance of our community, not to the good. If we have way more short-term rentals, these ADUs. I'm just, and you know, the owner can also live in the house and make their own the rent.
Live in your own granny flat?
They can live in the granny flat. But
I've never heard that term before. Yeah. All right, other than as the planning representative, I would like to be on the team.
We got three?
The pain for me is I'm obviously less available than you guys are, so I might have to be remote, but
If you have questions, you know, if you
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
you know, write it down, we can convey it to Mr. Sayer.
Chris?
To me, Kevin would be the ideal person because he knows our ordinances so well, but I don't know if your schedule is going to permit that. And
If I know well ahead of time when we're meeting, it would.
if Kevin is unable to fulfill that, I would volunteer to
This
be on it.
would be an executive, almost certainly if it were a public meeting, correct?
Absolutely.
So it could be posted as a town council meeting, which would mean
I
more,
mean,
more.
We're at the limit with David, Christian, and Jesse. Now, if we want to go beyond that, then we're going to have to designate this as an ad hoc committee with meetings and minutes and all that.
We don't want that.
No.
I don't want that.
you don't want to be secretary again of another.
No, I don't want to be secretary anymore. I've got enough secretary.
All right, I'll just leave it tentative, David, Christian, and Jesse. And then if there's any bargaining by any of you, then let me know.
We'll do the initial meeting and see how it goes, and then
He may have to
Alright,
come to everybody. Yeah, I know. So
Alright. And then Christian will be secretary.
no.
Anything else on this issue? It's an important issue, guys, so not lose sight of that. Okay, now we're back to 5F6, which is discussion action, discussion action regarding waterworks personnel capacity. David, would you reach over your left shoulder and grab that executive thing for me? I'm going to propose that we go into, according to West Virginia Code 6, I should know this behind, see how close I come. 698. 694.
No, 698.
6984, executive session to discuss hiring personnel issues. Is your motion to go into executive session from Chris? We have a second from Jesse. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, go into executive session. Opposed? We're in executive session at 8:47 p.m. And so
just mute it, and that way we don't have to start it up again. No, no. So you got instruct me to hit that,
We
hit
talked
that,
about it last week, yeah.
and
You
so
heard last
long.
meeting. Right, yeah.
I'll just hit that and mute that. All right, we are,
Yes.
hang on.
All right.
We are recording.
The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a motion to adjourn from Chris. We have a second from David. All those in favor of the motion to adjourn, opposed, motion carries 7-0. We are adjourned at 9.